Hello, Pat.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Perhaps you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself, what your name is and what your role is.
Well, my name is Pat Smith, and my role is I'm the director of Heritage Care at Home Limited in Lowestoft.
And what does that company do?
We currently care for people in the community, allowing them to stay in their own homes. We promote independence. A lot of changes have happened since COVID, and the way things are done. We visit every day. They can have a sit of 2 hours, 3 hours, or we can go in and do visits, anything up to an hour, depending on their needs. Everything is dependent on their needs. So some people think that if you have a half an hour visit, you're not going to get a lot done in that time, and you're not going to get to know the person. But what we explain to them is you're on a one-to-one. You chat about all sorts of things. So that's what we do currently. But due to COVID, people becoming socially isolated in COVID, we lost people because of that. We've now moved premises and are currently in the phase of opening a daycare centre.
Oh, fantastic.
So
taking it right back, when you were a little girl at school, did you begin to think about what job you might do when you were older?
I had 3 choices with my careers officer, and me leaving school was more than 2 weeks ago. So I wanted to be a policewoman. And I went for the interview and I failed the medical. I cried for a fortnight. So then I thought, well, I'll go into the WRAF. But at that time, there was a long waiting list, and I'm quite impatient. And I thought, well, that's got to be my third choice. I'll be a nurse. So I started my career looking after people with learning disabilities in our local hospital in Lowestoft. And I had the opportunity, I was a YTS girl with my little brown envelope of £19.50 a week. And I had the opportunity to go and start my nurse training at Little Plumstead Hospital in Norwich, which I did. But I was a little way into it, and then I realised that really wasn't for me, because you had to lock doors when you went through. And I said to my nan, I don't want to be a jailer, I want to be a nurse. So she then, I suppose, really gave me the authorisation that I could leave, and she said, if you don't like it, leave. So I left, and I went back home to Lowestoft and started working for social services with learning disabilities in one of the homes.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for 10 years. And then the Community Care Act came in, and we were around about 1995. I left the home and started working in the community. But I started working with mental health in working years. So I was dealing with what is now bipolar, schizophrenia, psychotic moments, and all sorts of things. And I did that for 3 years. I then decided to start working with older people and complex conditions in the community. So that's what I did. And I worked for one company, and I really didn't like their ethics, so I left. And then I worked for another company for 12 years. But in the meantime, my best friend, who was from school, her partner had brain tumours, which each time he went to Addenbrooke's brought on dementia at a different level. He then needed care to allow us to go to work, and he had a care company come in. We couldn't get good care. We could not get good care
Really?
at all. And there was lots of things. It wasn't just one thing. It was just they had no empathy, they had no understanding, no training. They didn't understand him, and they didn't understand his dementia. Really, to the point that we went home early one evening, and the vertical blinds were open, and a carer was sitting there at the window doing this, and we went in. The TV was blaring out. You could hear it outside. I went in and I said, "Robert, what have you got on the TV?" "I don't know." She wanted it on. So I said, "What is it?" She said, "Robert wants to watch it. That's Hollyoaks." And I said, "He wouldn't know Hollyoaks if I jumped out the bushes and grabbed him by the throat." Well, I went through to the bathroom of the bungalow, and in front of the wash bin were his dirty clothes and a soiled pad. She walked through and she went, "Oh, I was going to clean that, but I didn't have time." So I said, "Had you not been on your phone, you would have had time." "No, I've been on my phone." I said, "We came past the window, you were on your phone." I said, "You know, you were texting." She went, "Oh no, I was just answering a message. I weren't on my phone." I've still not actually grasped that one.
No.
We complained. The next morning they sent somebody, and I was down picking Karen up for 7 o'clock to pick her up for work. But I went down and we used to give him his first cup of tea, and if he was wet, because he was doubly incontinent, we used to sort him out before the carer came in. And the doorbell rang, and I said, "Oh, I'll answer the door, it'll be the carer." And I opened the door, and there stood this young girl who looked like a rabbit in headlights. And I said, "You know, we've not seen you before, you better come in." And I said, "So what do you know about Robert? You've got to spend the day with him. What do you know?" Because his times were 7 till 6. What do you know?" And she went, "I don't know anything about him." So I said, "Right." I said, "So what's your training?" She went, "I haven't had any training." By this time, my heart's, I got palpitations. And she said, "I only had my interview yesterday and they dropped my uniform off last night." So I said, "I think you need to go home." I said, you know, "You'll get paid." I said, "But you go home. I'll spend the day looking after Robert." So when I finished the company that we were both working at, and we both finished in the same week, I said, "Well, we're supposed to be able to do something. I've got a job now." And Karen had a job. She got herself a job. So I decided to work as a carer, so I could see what was out there, what was happening. And I wasn't impressed. So we said, "Right, well, we better do this then." So we started our own company, and that was 11 and a half years ago.
That's quite a journey, Pat.
That is a journey. And we haven't stopped yet.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And Robert passed away 10 years ago. And he used to say, "I don't know why you're lining someone else's pockets. You should do this yourself." So when we got our registration through, he was unfortunately in hospital at Addenbrooke's, and he was on life support for the 3rd time. So I said to him, "Robert, I'm sure you can hear me, and I need to tell you this, and I don't expect you to remember, but we've done it. We've got our registration." And obviously there was no response. He came off life support. He survived for the 4th time. When he came home, I said to him, "Robert, I don't know if you remember in the hospital, but I told you we've started our own business." And he said, "Of course I remember. I heard you." So I said, "Oh, that's all right then." So I said, "Right, well, I suppose we better go off to work then." And he said, "Oh, here you go again. I don't know why you don't start your own company, because you're just lying in somebody else's pocket." And we did smile, and you know, but we started in January. We opened our doors in January 2011, and he passed away in November 2011.
Goodness.
But you see, we want to remain small. We need to remember why we're doing this.
And for you, he was the source of that inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So there you are with a new company. How do you go about recruitment?
At that time, it was easy.
Really?
That was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It was easy. We just did some advertising. We put some posters up and said we were coming and, this was going to happen. And I sort of like jumped in at a few day centres. And to me now that was easy. It seemed hard at the time.
And what's it like now?
Awful. We would never hold anybody back if that's what they want to do. And the same as going, we get some that go and work nights because that suited them better with their families and, But you're always replaced all the way along. And it's only been, I think, up to COVID, things weren't so bad.
And also, did you get the feeling that through the lockdown, people were very quick to clap for the NHS?
Yes. Oh, yes.
But of course they deserved it. But
without doubt.
Absolutely without doubt. But I wish there'd been more attention placed on people in care.
We had a conversation a long, long time ago, funnily enough, over a pair of gloves. A district nurse was working with us one Christmas Day, and because Karen and I, who is the co-owner of Heritage Care at Home, we put our uniforms on and we do what the carers do. We cannot tell a carer how to do a job if we don't know what's happening. So you'll never take that bit out of us. That's in us. We were working with this lady, Christmas Day. She'd come home from hospital to die, and she only had just a matter of time. So we gowned up, PPE on, and in came the district nurse, and she had a pair of green gloves. So this lady said, "Why have you got blue and she's got green?" And the district nurse turned around and said, "Because I'm a nurse and they are just carers." I managed to hold Karen back and I just stood and looked at her and I said, "There is just one thing to remember. This lady could have come home from hospital without a nurse, but she couldn't come home without a carer."
I was going to ask, what are the solutions to the current recruitment issue? How do we get people back in care? Is it purely the wage?
It could be.
So that decision made not that long ago, Pat, but that decision that you made to go into care and the world it's opened up for you. We've been asking everybody this. Any funny stories? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, there's been lots of things happened over the years, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
There's one particular story of a carer who, she didn't like work very much, and she'd find it quite a few reasons to not work. And she worked evenings. So she rang up at lunchtime and said, "I'm ever so sorry, I can't come into work because the dog ran off with my washing and I had to chase it across the garden and I fell over and it's been raining and my uniform's dirty." "So what, was your uniform on the line?" "Well, no, I've got it on, ready for work." "You do realise it's 11:30. Yeah, I know, but I like to be ready." "Okay." "Yeah, but that's okay because you've got a second uniform, right?" "Yeah, but then I sorted the dog out and then I went outside because the cat was having a fit and then I fell over and I've dirtied both my uniforms and now I ain't got uniform so I can't work tonight." So I said, "Okay, then that's absolutely fine. Give me 5 and I'll drop one round." So I dropped a uniform round, then a little while went on, and then she rang and she said, "The car's broken down." So I said, "But you've got a bike. Can you not use your bike?" "Well, I can't, not really, because at the weekend, the pedals, one of the pedals came off. So my husband, he's not very clever, but he actually tried to put the pedal back on, and he's put it on backwards, and now it won't go forwards." And do you know what, honestly, sometimes that's disbelief. And I said to the girls, I said, "Is this happening? Is this really, really happening? Does she think that we're so stupid that we're going to believe all this?" I said, "But you can't help but laugh at her." Because I think that there's, in this job, you do get so so many funny things that happen. But because you get so many sad things of late that happen, sometimes you find it a little bit hard. We have always said that we should have written a book when we very first started. Because when we very first started, we went to Leiston, we sat in our office, we looked at each other and I said, do you think the phone will ring? Do you think we're needed? And Karen said, well, I don't know. If it don't ring today, it might ring tomorrow. Well, I kid you not, within a half an hour of that conversation, the phone rang and that's not stopped since. And, you know, every day, the thing I like about my job is every day is just so different. You know, you just don't, I mean, we recently moved offices. Well, we went to Lowestoft, we went to a business centre and that was very expensive. So we decided that we were going to move in COVID. And so we picked on a old pharmacy that had been closed for like 9 years. And I said, I'd really like that place. That's a prominent place, that is. And you've got, they'll see us from every direction. Yeah, okay, and that's fine. So I said to Karen, we can't both concentrate on this. So she said, well, I'll run the business. You sort that out. Okay, and that's fine. So I called my builder who had built my bungalow and I said to him, can you come down and just look at this job I'd like you to do, please? I said, it's not very big. So he said, all right. And so he came down and he walked in and he went, oh, that's not very big. Yeah, right. Well, you're probably saying that because there aren't any lights. He said, you know, you can't see how big it is. Here's a 10-year contract. Came in to see us and they went, wow, look what you've done to this place. That's amazing, very corporate, you know. Anyway, is there anything else I can do for you girls? So I said, no, I don't think so. I said, but just wish you'd pop down to Patworth Trust, could you? I said, because they're selling the building and I want the day centre and they won't give it to me because they're selling the building. Where's that? I said, just down the road. Okay. Yeah, all right, and Pat, I'll get that for you. So, didn't think no more of it. 3 months later, gets a phone call. He said, do you still want that day centre? So I said, yes. So he said, good, because I'm just about to sign on the dotted line. So I went, oh, right. And I'm thinking, what have I got to do now? We're here, we're established. Oh, I'll just have to have 2. So anyway, I said to Karen, I think we've now got 2 properties. So she went, I hope not. So I said, well, what have we got to do now then? So we decided we've got to get the day centre ready. So it's all painted inside. And I collect Lowestoft memorabilia.
Do you?
I've got probably 1,500 postcards and endless invoices, receipts, bills, you name it. And so I thought, right, we'll have a feature wall, something somebody's going to talk about. So we've got the vinyl collage, which is over 30 foot long, on one wall, just of some of my postcards and bills and envelopes with addresses on, and yeah.
That's fantastic. That's like a reminiscence project all in
Absolutely.
itself. Pat, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, but it seems you face it with great vigour. Thank you so much for coming in.
That's fine. And thank you for having me. And to be quite honest with you, I love my job. And I love every day going to work because every day is so different. And every year we have a different challenge. And we've already been offered by our landlord a bigger premises, but just as a day centre if this one takes off. So we can have 2.
So the future is bright in some ways.
Yeah, because you can recruit for day centres.
Really? Is it easier?
School holiday, school times.
School times, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
9 till 3:30, and you know.
Well, let's hope for an equally bright future for social care.
Yes.
And thank you again.
No, thank you.